the Age of Fission radio show with your host, Lonnie Clark. We stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Vision radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear. Good morning, UCY.TV radio listeners. This is Lonnie Clark with the Age of Fission radio show. Today is July 20th, 2017. And it is 8 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast, and I want to thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in every single day and listening to our podcasts. We make an effort to bring you information that matters and voices that matter. To that end, today I have with us Mr. Brian Porter. He runs makingadifference.tv. Brian, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Well, Lonnie, it's always a blessing to be on with you. Thanks for inviting me in the middle of, well, we've had a pretty nice summer up here in Toronto area. I know the rest of the continent is struggling, but we can't complain up here.
That's good. Do you have a bird in the back? That's cute.
A bird? No, that was...
what was that?
That just came through on my phone.
Oh, okay. That's your message machine. All right. It sounded like a bird. Well, you know, you and I talk a lot about how we can live in really emotional peace in times of this time where we're really under assault by the system that really is using us as assets on a balance sheet, you know. So I wanted you to share a little bit with what's going on with your radio station and the movement that you're creating, because you're very active in bringing a lot of different unifying forces together.
Well, I'm glad you see it that way, Lonnie.
Well, I think that's your goal, isn't it? I mean, that's what I see your activities as, for real.
Yeah, I mean, making a difference is, at some point, I hope to have a live news show. But honestly, Lonnie, I mean, it's pretty simple, the solutions. But most of it boils down to stop releasing toxins, whether they're physical toxins or energetic toxins. Most activists, I think, make the mistake of talking about the problem and not solutions. So making a difference is basically about moving in the direction of solutions. If you don't know what the problems are, well, I mean, I can show you what the problems are in 30 minutes. I have a video that summarizes in 30 minutes every major eco problem on the planet.
I think most of us know. I think that's what draws us here is, you know, that's in fact one of the reasons why I ask people like you on my show and Crow, the shaman, because I really believe that we need to provide solutions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean,
and CELDEF, you know, Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund. I'm sort of big on that one now because, you know, we need community rights. It's the reason we can't stop the polluters. So, but share with us what you're doing, like your whole idea of bringing people together, because I've watched some of your videos on YouTube that you've interviewed, like the last interview you did with those two young men. Quite fascinating to see their perspectives.
Yeah, I didn't want to go at them too hard because, you know, they're teenagers, but they are curious. Unfortunately, the follow-up we had didn't work out last night, so I was supposed to have a follow-up with Jim Lee. I just want to say a few words about Jim Lee. Jim Lee has, I think, the best website on enviro issues on the planet. It's called climateviewer.com.
Oh, I know Climate Viewer. Yeah, that one I do. I know Climate Viewer.
Yeah, so you know Jim Lee. I encourage everyone to subscribe to his channel. He does a show weekly on Sundays live through Google Plus. You can chat with him. He's a computer genius. He actually knows how to use computer code. He has a photographic memory. The guy is like Mensa level intellect. He's basically spent the last 7 years investigating every eco problem. He thinks geoengineering is really one of the biggies that's being ignored. So he focuses a lot on that, but he knows about all the other ones, believe me. You won't find a guy more on top of things than Jim Lee. And he's one of the people on my site. So what I'm trying to do is bring together every expert in every issue. Now, that's why you're on my site, because you talk a lot about nuke issues, which are very significant and, definitely need to be talked about. And then from the knowledge of the issues, we have to move in the direction. I've got it all in my video, Healthy in a Blended Planet. I talk about, first of all, if we don't care about one another and we don't care about the planet, we're not getting anywhere. Okay? So we have to love, 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 love. Second stage is discernment. We have to be able to see what is true and what is not true to find solutions. We have to use our deductive, our inductive reason, and our ethical reason. And actually, you know what, Lonnie? The simplest way is the wisdom of the child. Do no harm. Stop emitting toxins into the environment. I'll give you an example of a beautiful do no harm law. It's happening right next door to me in the province of Quebec, which really, folks, it's in Canada, but they really are a separate nation, and they talk like they're part of Canada, but good for them. I mean, they're French Canadians. They have a different culture. They love nature much more than we do in the rest of Canada, in my opinion. They got this incredible law where they said, look, and it's so simple, but it's so powerful. You cannot disrupt any lake or river the first 10 meters. Okay, that's 30 feet. Okay. So what they're doing, they're saying, just let it go wild. Let the birds and the bugs and the butterflies and the plants recover. And it's going to do wonders for the fish population, for all the aquatic life. And my son was up in Quebec this summer. He catches and releases fish. It's one of his, I don't know where it came from. I'm not into fishing, but ever since he was 4, he wanted to go fishing. So I let him go fishing. And he's like, man, this kid's like 14. He's an expert fisherman now. And he's catching like monster-sized fish. Trophy fish, just on this lake in Quebec called Lake McGregor. So this simple law, okay, you don't have to, they're not asking you to spend money to restore anything, to reinvigorate anything. They said, look, just leave nature alone. Let it recover. It has its way. It knows what to do. The Mother Earth is a living, powerful, creative entity. She has her friends. She has her nature spirits. They will restore the land. And this law has been in effect for about 10 years now. And I think it's made a huge difference. You can just, if you're like me and you feel the energy of the biosphere, you can feel it when you go there. I was just up there with my son. He's an expert, freestyle skier, and he's training up there north of Quebec City. I'm not sure if people know where Quebec City is, but it's about 3 hours east of Montreal. Most people know where that is, along the St. Lawrence River. So there's an example, Lonnie, of a very simple law that's done wonders. And I'll tell you something else. With respect to the issue of nukes, they had this one nuke plant. What was the name of it? Geez, it escapes me the name. But anyways, it was close to Montreal. They decommissioned it in 2014. They took it apart. They didn't throw the waste in the ocean. They got rid of it properly. They spent, I think, $1 billion decommissioning this. So there's no nuke power in the province of Quebec. There's no fracking allowed. They're big, huge creator of hydropower, which is one of the greener sources of power. It's not perfect by any means, but it's certainly a hell of a lot better than nukes or oil and gas. So I see Quebec as a natural, powerful leader in the world of governments, which are mostly lost, and sanctioning the killing of the planet. But people in Quebec are different. The government's different. I use it as a role model for the rest of North America for sure. And this is what we need, Lonnie. We need simple laws that say, don't do it. Don't release the toxins. And they've done this. They've done it. Lonnie, they got rid of a nuke plant in Quebec.
It's true. Wasn't it? It was that is. I just looked it up, and what was it called? It's called Gentilly, right?
Beaupre, I think.
Beaupre, okay.
But
but this is the thing. We were talking about this yesterday, in fact, with Heidi Lambert. Really, we just have to say no. We have to close them all down, and we have to start dealing realistically with the waste instead of ignoring it and letting people get sick and figuring out these, quote, medical cures for all the hideousness this is going to bring us. We have to figure out how to reverse this. We need our engineers to focus their change their focus to a whole new look of how they're going to deal with it. It's kind of like called nuclear reality. You know, like I prefer to call myself a nuke truther rather than an anti-nuker, because really we just need the truth about nuclear. And even with the chemicals, you're right. And that's part of the CELDF, the community rights movement, is communities like how Oregon, the city of Newport, Oregon, was able to assert their rights against the pesticide spraying and the aerial spraying over their city, which is now banned, and around a certain perimeter of their city that you cannot spray or out there. Was in our Constitution in Oregon, there's a little clause that says we have a right to a healthy life. So they were able to prove in court that by using these pesticides, it would infringe upon your right to a healthy life.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly an option. If we can continue with my grander solutions. Okay, so we got discernment. Yeah. So they're using it in Quebec. I'm using it as a...
Yes.
I want people to know that people are actually doing things. It isn't... One of the things I fight a lot in activism is people who have said it's too far gone. The ship's going down. There's no way to stop it. And I said, that's bullshit. I mean, I live up here in Canada. I mean, there's literally thousands of millions of square miles. I'm not sure what the number is, but we've got a hell of a lot of land up here and a lot of trees and a lot of good nature still. I mean, this country is far from dead. I know.
And besides that, there are solutions. Like we know microbial solutions. Mushrooms are like computers. Squid and jellyfish are like massive computers. The technology's here on this planet.
Finland did an amazing job at getting rid of their nuke waste. They dug a huge hole in the ground. It's called a mine, folks. Well, we do it every day. They didn't tell anybody where it was because they didn't want anyone to know about it, because they don't want people to go there and unearth this thing. They drilled big, deep holes into the sides of this mine. They put one piece of the rod, like these rods assemblies are long and thin, right? I mean, there's many pieces. They took them apart one by one. They stuck them down these deep holes and they sealed them in. And they're separated so they cannot interact with each other. Now, it wasn't cheap. It was expensive. But they did it in Finland.
How long did it take them?
I'm not sure. There's a movie about it. If you look on the internet, how Finland got rid of their nuclear waste, it goes through it.
Okay, that's great.
It's a documentary. I'm not saying it's cheap, and I'm not saying. I remember when I studied this 35 years ago, they said that the cost of getting rid of the nuke waste in the U.S. would be, trillions. So it's not going to be cheap, but it's we only got one planet to live on.
Yeah, how expensive is that to destroy the planet?
I mean, I also believe spiritually this is our soul school. So if we ruin our soul school, I mean, we come back in future lives, we're going to have a hell of a lot tougher time next time. So let's deal with it now, folks. Let's.
Well, this is, what I have to say. I have pondered this idea myself. The people that say, well, this is God's will and that's what it is, believe they're going to heaven. They don't believe in the afterlife. They don't care if this place goes to hell. They expect it. They kind of want it. This is part of what has kept me from being an outspoken person who believes in the message of Christ. to be really honest with you. That is a huge issue, because I do believe that it does not make logical sense that this is it. And once we die, we just get to go to heaven no matter, like, we come back. I can tell you, I've had past life experiences myself. I know I was there, and it's been in the present. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. It's really ridiculous for Christians to keep bullying their way. I mean, that's kind of what it is to me. And my family members who are Christian and Jewish get very offended by when I say this, but I firmly believe that the Jewish religion, the Christian religion, the Muslim religion, all the same. It's a three-sided coin. It's like a little pyramid dice, They keep throwing it to see which century or which 12 or 1300 years they're going to row by.
Yeah, and it seems that the plan is to invoke a war in every nation, and we've got our spy agencies fermenting this stuff, and they're going to call it, a Muslim revolt or whatever. It's just a label put on.
You should see on Facebook.
It's just evil.
It is beyond comprehension. I am shocked by what I see on Facebook. People that I respect posting articles about Sharia law coming to America, coming to Canada. They're taking over. They hate us. Now, are they brutal there? Yes. Does the United States arm them to the teeth and always has, and Canada and every Western nation? Yes. And why is that? Why have we perpetrated this and created it? So, I don't know. We need to rethink this,
This thing called the military-industrial complex. It's the biggest industry in the U.S. and one of the biggest in the West. I mean, the only thing bigger now is the pharmaceutical industry, because everybody's going crazy and everybody.
I'm getting sick. Like, they're dishing out. They make people ill and dish out medicine, like these pharmaceuticals that actually are made. See, this is another reason. This sounds. People who don't believe in my type of spirituality will think I'm a kook, but I actually can't handle the slave labor involved with pharmaceuticals. At a very deep level, a lot of if you root back how these things are harvested and produced, there's a lot of slave labor and a lot of negative energy in the pharmaceutical industry. And all that suffering and pain comes with those pharmaceuticals you're popping down your mouth. I do that extremely rarely if I have to.
Yeah, so let's you touched on the issue of reincarnation. Now I'll give you another very real example, proof that reincarnation exists. Recently in some country in the Middle East, I think it was Iraq or Iran, somewhere, this 3-year-old child started telling his parents about the fact in a previous life that he had been murdered. 3-year-old kid. He knew where he was buried. He knew who killed him. All the evidence that he brought forward, this 3-year-old kid convicted the guy who killed him in a previous life. I'm not joking. This is real. This is what God does. God gives us these little visions of what reality is all about.
Right, clips. It's kind of like that little girl that I read about in India. In India, they believe in the afterlife. To them, that's not unusual, right? But this little girl insisted she had to go to this village. This family had this little girl who said that she had lost her doll. She had, died like 7 or 8 years ago. And she lost her doll, and she knew where her doll was, right? And so she had to go to this family's house, and she picked up this doll, and the family was stunned because she knew the doll's name. She knew where the clothes were. Like, they were not that well off, but they weren't hideously poor. So the doll had like a little blanket that she kept in a little box. And this little girl walked in the house and knew where all this stuff was. And she called her other parents Mama and Daddy. It was bizarre. And the family was stunned. That's why it made the newspaper. So
yeah, these little things.
This is allowing us, again, this is why I like your ideas, Brian, and why I'm grateful that you're willing to come on my show and share these ideas, because they are considered radical. Spiritually radical. You know what I mean? Like, people, how can you tie in living past this disaster? Because that's really what we're learning to do. There's a disaster coming. It's here. We're getting the first brunt of it, but it's coming. And they know it's coming. And we can learn to live with it and be happy and be content, or just fold in.
Okay, well, next step is for people. I recommend, I did a show with one of my healers, Amanda Pinkerton. On my network, I've got healers. And we talk about this amazing movie, which is based on a book by Chico Xavier. Who, again, he's a contemporary. He recently passed, 2002. He cured people for 60 years, energy healing. He didn't charge them a cent. He wrote 350 books. Again, he took all the money. He gave it away to charity. His movie, based upon one of his books, just one of the 350, is called Astral City. Check out the video on Making a Difference. Me and Amanda talking about this incredible movie. His claim is pretty amazing, but Amanda, Lonnie, the dead planet already exists. It's called the next level down. It's called they call it in the Bible purgatory. It's there already. I mean, so we're creating another one here. And this is not this. I'm not sure we'll be allowed to actually kill the planet the way it is down there. But I mean, it literally is an amazing movie. It talks about the fact that he kills himself because he thinks he's a doctor, and he's actually not a doctor. Western medicine is pretty much right off in terms of its ability to heal, not just in cancer, in almost everything. Penicillin's not a bad thing if it's used properly, but there's a few things they've come up with. But generally, I'm a big believer in Ayurvedic medicine. I think that I've 35 years, I've surveyed every knowledge system that I'm aware of on planet Earth. The Vedic system is by far the most profound, the most enlightening. They talk about meditation to get beyond the mind, and it's powerful. It's revealed so many insights. Now our lowly Western science is starting to admit, hey, there seem to be these things called energy chakras on the body. And they have some power. And, oh, God, all these people doing yoga, even though it's not real yoga, it is doing some good. So everything that they've been claiming, and, of course, I have my famous Yoga Ramesh Pandey, the laughing yogi, on as much as I can on Making a Difference. We're actually going to do a show in about an hour right after this show. So these people are brilliant. But anyways, so what this guy's doing, we're going to do a follow-up because, we're all on holidays now. Amanda has a couple kids that go away every summer. So we're going to do another show on it. But if you go to that interview, it'll give you, I've got a hidden link to the movie on YouTube. It's a Hollywood movie, so I'm not supposed to be sharing it.
So don't talk about it here, but no one's listening.
I don't care. I mean, they've nailed me a few times. I can beat every system. I'm not worried if YouTube sends me a note and says, "Oh, Brian, you're breaking copyright." I just laugh at them. This movie is a movie everybody should see, and it's got 8,000 views. I'm so thrilled. But what it does, Lonnie, is it makes people realize that we came here to love one another and to fix this planet.
Yeah.
We're going to end up in this dead planet. That's already there. It's already there waiting for all you lost souls to go to. So it's a beautiful movie. The guy is like, I'm telling you, Lonnie, this guy devoted his life to humanity. He was so well respected. He was on mainstream media all the time.
Brian, tell us the name of the movie again.
It's on my site, Making a Difference. Scroll down a few shows. You'll see Amanda Pinkerman and Brian Porter talking about Astral City. Now, the link to it, which is free, and it's got subtitles because it's in Portuguese, right? The language down there is Portuguese. So it's got beautiful subtitles. It's a powerful movie. Everybody who's watched it, who's at all in tuned to this world and what we need to do, will be blown away by it. It helps you realign. One of the big messages of the movie, Lonnie, is we have to start again. We have to look at our priorities. This is part of my solution matrix, is the notion of, first of all, what I'm doing now. The family home is being sold. I'm moving into an eco-village, which is something I recommend everybody do. There's 1,300 of them in North America. Many of them are looking for people. There's like about as many that are trying to get established, looking for people. Folks, you got to grow your own food. You got to heal your own water. Mm-hmm. If you don't eat what Mother Nature gives us, if it's not organic, I know there's issues with radiation and chemtrailing and stuff, but believe me, if you eat food out of the ground, and you can put it in a greenhouse if you're worried about those things, you will wake up your soul and your mind, but big time.
It's true, and it's easy to eat local food. It's easy to grow local food. Like My garden, I can't do it alone in my backyard, so I'm volunteering at like well, it's an elderly couple that I met. It's a community garden they built, and guess what? There's very few people who go there. I go there regularly to help him tend the garden, weed, shovel, plant, and harvest. Harvesting is also a bit of the work, but you can actually get engaged. There's people who have the space to, if you don't have a space, look for people who do and volunteer in their gardens.
Exactly. Yeah. I set up 3 in Ottawa before I came back to Toronto to take care of my mom.
I mean, you were right about living in an intentional community, but and I'm just going to be frank with you. That's a great ideal, but it takes a while to move into that space. You can't just really, I know I couldn't. You have to actually find a place to go that you fit with. I mean, it takes a while, and then you have to really make a decision to jump off the boat and cut everything off, because if you go live on an intentional community, a lot of times you're working on the land. That's really what you're doing.
Well, everyone I know has internet access. They're not completely isolated like people think they are. It's the cheapest way to live. A lot of people I know who are activists are poor as church mouses. So it's also a solution to financial problems. So it's for people, Lonnie, who are constantly complaining to me, I'm an activist and I'm poor and I'm suffering and it's not my fault. I say, look, first of all you really need to eat is rice and beans and walk into the woods. All the food you ever need is in the woods. If you can get in your woods.
That whole mentality, see, part of the reason why I think that the activist movement is not, it has not succeeded is because of the negative mentality of poverty, victimhood. They need to end the conversation. This is why I love on your site the yogi that you put on here, because he took Guru Yogi Ramesh. I mean, he talks about this. Go look at those videos. Click on that link on Brian's website and learn a different mentality. When you say it's all right here, it is. You're absolutely 100% right.
It's the source of life.
But this is key, though, Brian. A lot of people say, well, you don't want to live with your head in the sand. No, we do want to stay connected, and we want to move towards solutions. It doesn't mean because you're living in an alternative lifestyle that you've ignored your responsibility to create a change. Because I think it is our responsibility for us to demand a change. It's going to happen. We're getting it. It's coming. We have not seen anything yet, folks. This is serious. We live on do you realize what the Cascadia earthquake zone is going to do when it does hit? And it's a matter of time, 50 years at most.
Yeah, I was reading about that. The new map of the world.
Well, forget the map of the world. Look at the nuclear waste, the chemical stored, the oil. Imagine what's going to happen when the nuclear waste gets mixed up with the oil, like it is in St. Louis on a massive scale. Seriously, we are headed for, and I'm not saying people cannot survive, but a lot of people are going to get very sick. I mean, it's not, I don't know if it'll blanket the earth with smoke and cause, that apocalyptic idea of you can't see the sun. I don't know, but I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I had visions of us looking out in the horizon, and it was like this gray cloud, and we thought, wow, that's a good day. I was 17 driving over the hill on Colima Boulevard, and I had this vision of what it was going to look like. And I thought to myself, that's an odd thing, but that's for me, it just felt like it was a real truth. So maybe that's where we are headed, but I don't know. That doesn't mean people aren't surviving and happy and experiencing joy and love. I mean, we're going to have to live through this period of time unless humanity plans on going extinct.
Yes. Life is a blessing. Every day is a blessing, whether you realize it or not. Now, people who are starving to death, well, that might be a hard message to get to them. But, if you have the basics, you're blessed. You don't have to be rich to be happy. I believe, I've lived most people consider a poverty-stricken life. I'm happy as a church mouse. I love it. I love being poor. It's great. I love it. I love having all the time in the world to do what I want to do, which is fix Mother Earth. It's a great life. There's no sacrifice, Lonnie, because I'm always in love with Mother Earth. I was talking to a beautiful clan mother this morning, Pim Mastan. She's a good friend of mine. She's telling me about all the beautiful spirit animals that are coming to her. These people live on another plane of existence, and we came here and we destroyed that beautiful way of living.
Yep, 100%.
And this is the karma we're dealing with. And this is why I support the Native people. And there's a $72 trillion lawsuit happening. And she's running around and talking to the Native people and explaining how they stole the land from them, how they used corrupt laws, maritime law, all this kind of stuff. I support anything that gets us back in harmony.
This is why we need community rights. If you have community rights, you can actually assert your rights as a community. That you could pass a Bill of Rights in your community that says, we claim our original rights to this land, superseding the laws of the British law. You could put that in your community rights. I'll bet you that would hit. You could actually if you could get that passed, you could assert the right to take back your land. I wonder if that's a possibility.
Well, what we do.
This is where my little legal bending mind goes.
Yeah, we should do a show with some people who are experts in common law, because what I really want to do is do a show with you with somebody from the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund. Sure. I want you to talk to them and us to talk about the community rights. I plan on getting Kai back on the radio here, because this idea about us asserting our rights, and it's a way we live in this system. So it's kind of like that's what you're saying with the intentional lifestyle. Like, okay, we're going to live here, but let's go do what we want to do within this system. We're going to live on an intentional community where we're going to not buy into the system. I know I have a friend of mine who's been living like that here in Corvallis, in a little town called Monroe, at a farm for 20 years. Now, she lives in like a little cabin. It has electricity. She has a very small, I think just a small little fridge, like an apartment-sized fridge. Her bathroom, they have an outhouse outside, and it's very rudimentary, and it's honestly the most peaceful life I've ever seen. I go out to the farm and just spend the afternoon with her for an afternoon, and you come back completely refreshed. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, like I say, there are ways of living in big cities in a way that are in harmony with Mother Earth too. I mean, I'm 61 now. I've always loved trees. I grew up in a forest pretty much. So it's where I want to be in my, in the next 40 years of my life. I believe I have at least 40 years left. Good years. I'm healthy as a horse. I don't have any chronic health problems. My biggest problem is my teeth are falling out in places, but other than that, I'm going to get that fixed. So I'm very blessed. I'm completely devoted to saving this planet. I know it's doable. I think I have some of the solutions. I'd love to talk to this community rights person, because after we create ways of living there in harmony, we need to create a couple things that are going to make a huge difference. What we don't realize, Lonnie, is that we have allowed the elite economic players on this planet to create something called the shipping transportation system, which is totally against everything that Mother Earth wants. Mother Earth wants us to basically create what we need from local sources. This shipping system has allowed them to create 90% of what we use on other continents. Okay. The consequences of that are devastating. First of all, these ships take a lot of metal to make, so we have to do a lot more mining than we should have to do. They put out acid rain, SO2, SO4, by that metric, tons and tons and tons. There's an article written by an expert in marine shipping. It's on my site. Okay, if you go to my video, Healthy and Abundant Planet, it's right there. I go through, again, all the issues. Shipping is not one that people know much about. It's sort of been it's so powerful. 15 of these new container ships, I think they can take up to like 2,000 of these big containers that you see everywhere on the backs of trucks. 15 of these ships create as much pollution as all the cars on planet Earth. 15. There's 90,000 ships, Lonnie, right now, moving everything from other continents here. It's part of the maritime law fiasco. It's all connected. When you start to see how the connections get kind of cool. So we've got to pass laws that say, look, if we don't need to ship something across an ocean, let's do it local. Let's do it at least within a state, a province, a country. If there's something we need that's not here, okay, maybe we can make an exception. But we've got to make this 90-10, 90 extra or outside of our country, 10 local. We got to switch that around. Make it 90 local, 10 extraneous. And we've got to clean up our shipping. The same thing we did with cars. We've got to clean up the exhaust. It's all doable. All the technology exists. They take the worst fuel on earth. They take the crap coming out of the oil sands. Talk about making a bad situation even worse. They stick it in these ships. The millwrights, I've talked to the millwrights. They literally, it's so disgustingly thick and dirty that they have to heat it up to get it to go through the engines. That's how thick this stuff is. It's almost like tar, right?
I know.
And we throw this into the oceans. And where are all the people who talk about global warming on this and worried about, carbon release? Folks, it's mostly happening on our oceans and through the trucking industry. Everything is trucked. It's insane, Lonnie. It's absolutely insane.
I know. I actually read an article that said that there's a company that specifically goes out into the middle of the oceans, the two major oceans, and dumps this waste from the oil company, like big pollutants. That's a huge pollutant in the ocean.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Well, there's lots of other stuff being dumped. Yeah, there's all the friggin' garbage that's creating huge islands of plastic. And I mean, they
literally just dump it in the ocean. That's the shock about it, is they literally do dump it in the ocean.
Well, most of the toxic waste companies are run by mafia-style agents. I mean, that's all been thrown out there. That fracking's about getting rid of toxic waste. That's one of the main reasons we're doing it. That's why it's proprietary to know what's in the fracking fluid. There's 50 elements in this fluid, or they're proprietary to our process, and we can't tell anybody what they are. Bullshit. They're toxins that they're trying to bury 2 miles down in the aquifers. Isn't that wonderful, Lonnie? We're just 99% of the fresh water on this planet is underground. And that's what fracking's about. It's just to destroy our fresh water. It's unbelievable what they're doing, and people have to wake up.
Do you think that's intentional, that they're intentionally destroying our underwater sources? Well, I think what their plan is to endanger them, so then they can charge us. Just like the guy from Nestle said, water is not a right, and they are intentionally doing a way to harm our water, so that they, just like you said, with mafia style, barter money, make us pay for a basic human right necessity, just like they make you pay for your safety in the streets of New York. You know what I'm saying?
One of the things I try to do is take complex systems like economic systems, monetary systems, and make them simple. I call it the break it and fix it economy, okay? We take something that's natural, we destroy it, like our water, and then you have to spend money on filtration. Then you have to spend money on doctors when they don't get all the contaminants. Talk about chemicals. 85,000 chemicals, okay, have been created since the chemical industry started in the 1930s. We studied 500 of them, okay? The rest are running around in our water. Okay, in our soils, in our air. Environmental Working Group is very big on that stuff. They're in the wombs of our children, of the women giving babies. That's all proven. They found this. They've done the research. Toxic chemicals in the wombs, and we wonder why our kids are coming out. The least of the problems is the allergies, but all the cancers and the brain cancers and you name it. Deformities.
Well, we know that nuclear pollution causes. Literally, this is on the NRC's website and probably on your nuclear regulatory's website and everyone around the world. They know for a fact that it's a given that for every 2 rems of radiation in the air per million people, you are going to have 225,000 plus birth defects a year, plus 32,000 extra leukemias and cancers. Hence, we have an explosion in birth defects and cancers.
Yeah, but it's carbon free. It's carbon free.
Honestly, that sounds like the argument I did with my dentist who hands out fluoride tablets to kids because we don't have fluoride here in Eugene, Oregon. And she's like, well, it stops your teeth from. I'm like, look, you're going to get sick from taking the fluoride. Like, you'll have healthy teeth, but you're dying of cancer. What do you want? Like, there's other ways to keep your teeth clean. If you think that's the only way we've protected our teeth throughout humanity, she's like, before people lost their teeth. I'm like, no, they didn't. They only started losing their teeth when they ate like a bastardized version of healthy food, like around 200 years when they started really processing food and eating a lot of sweets.
Exactly. Eat better. It all comes back to what we eat. Like you say, if you don't want to live in an intentional community, find a farmer that grows organic, join a community garden. There's urban agriculture actually is becoming more and more popular, which is a good thing. People are growing things on their walls and their windows.
Well, I think it's also Brian. It's also like people have to be kind about not beating themselves up. Like we've been indoctrinated to eat this stuff. So it is going to take. I remember when I was getting healthy with Dr. Bob, when he was curing me of my arthritis. I was in my mid-30s, I guess 37 when I first met him. And I had a lot of medical issues. And he was like, I'd go to his office, he'd tap on my head or, he would give me, I had enzymes to take. One time he gave me something that tasted like, I think it was like straight iodine. I was super weak. And as soon as I drank it, boom, I immediately felt better. I was crisis. I was diagnosed, when he first came to me, I was diagnosed dehydrated, which caused a lot of my issues. So people don't know often they're dehydrated. But one time, I used to go to him, and my kids and I would go to Carl's Jr. right after we get the visit. He'd laugh. He's like, I get it. You guys are still going to go there. And I'm like, yeah. It took me a while. Like, it took us a while to wean off of these habits. Like, that's not food I would ingest today. Do you know what I mean? But then, and I was getting well even then. This is the miracle. Like, this is the thing about living in the intentional lifestyle. Go to your community gardens, get food, learn how to cook it, look on the internet, figure out how to cook it. We've forgotten these skills because we just go to the grocery store. Many people don't even know how to cook.
Yeah, you can make your own pasta from flour, an egg, and water, folks.
Look, pasta, you can, if you want to do it really right, use like einkorn flour,
flour and a few eggs. I'm telling you, we used to make everything from scratch. We've been conned into this bullshit system of going out and eating in fast food restaurants just because it's easier. But I'm telling you,
it's not easier, actually. It's more expensive.
To the planet are enormous, and to your body. We need real food. You don't even need to use organic flour. I don't even use organic flour to make my own pasta. I've had no hazardous bad effects from just using regular flour. But if you want to use organic, go for it. I'm not against it. But I'm telling you, the key is not eating the preservatives in all the foods.
Chemicals. Actually, do you know that that's a key factor for men? Dr. Linda Richter-Page says one of the big factors in andrometry, when men go through their menopause in their 40s, they lose their sex drive because men are extremely sensitive to chemicals and pesticides, and it drops their hormone levels way down. So when men, in her study, she said there's lots of documentation when men eliminate pesticides and chemicals, their male hormones go way back to normal. They recuperate completely fine without any medical intervention. It's just a matter of, and the reason you want to stay off of red meat is to give your heart a favor, but like just cut out the chemicals and it's a huge factor of improvement.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, if you start eating, like I make my own bread, piece of cake. I spent $60 on a bread maker. It takes 6 ingredients to make bread. I've done it so many times. I do it in my sleep. I mean, you literally put it there. It does it for you. I mean, these machines, this is simple stuff, Lonnie.
Well, even if you want to do it by hand, it's not that hard. My daughter has 3 kids, and she uses einkorn because it's like more original. Like the wheat we use now is not near the wheat we used 100 years ago or 150. So even the organic, like whole wheat is not the same whole wheat. That's why she researched and found that einkorn is like more closer to the wheat we used to eat and more fit with our bodies. So
yeah. I mean,
it depends on how you want to get into it, but this is really the issue. There's life after disaster. You know what I mean? Like it's coming, and this is how we prepare and just adjust ourselves to being able to eat right, eat healthy, stay positive and believe in the solutions and keep looking.
Yeah, if you work on solutions, you're going to be blessed by the gods. I'm absolutely convinced of it. I experience it every day. I get vibrations from the other side. I think it's helped by the fact that I've never sold my soul. I never did anything in my life that I thought was wrong. I'm blessed. I don't know why I came here with so much wisdom, but I'm obviously an old soul. Many people have told me this. So, but if you get back on track, if you find your integrity, you will start to feel the blessings of God, of the spirit world. And I'm telling you, this is going to be the key factors for people to survive, to feel the vibration. It's in the movie, Astral City. You'll see it, the green healing. You're going to start feeling this, folks. I feel it when I'm with Yogi all the time. That guy is I'm like, if I compare myself to Niagara Falls, he's like the sun. That guy puts out more love per square inch than anybody I've ever met. So hook up with Yogi Ramesh Pandey. It will help you cleanse your heart. The heart is key to a good mind too, because if you don't have a good heart, you're going to make a lot of decisions that aren't in your interest, in the best interest of the planet, or your friends, or anything. Heart-based mind is key. Okay, it's key. So let me just quickly finish my solution. So I've got, get good food. I want to do it through intentional community. If you want to, join a co-op, a food co-op.
So let's review. Let's go down real quick the ones that we've covered.
Okay.
Make the list.
Love.
Okay.
Love. Discernment. Now that's a tiffy, but we have to, as activists alone and leaders, we have to decide what are the real issues and what are the real solutions. Okay. And how do we bring together different points of view on solutions? In other words, like you'll get these people who want to fight about, is the Earth dealing mostly with global warming, or is it more geoengineering? And I just see people fighting. I just laugh, right? Because it's so stupid. I say, look, first of all, do we need oil, gas, and coal to survive? I say no. We don't. We don't need these things. So you're fighting about the wrong issue. The real issue is the oil and gas industry was created back mainly in the early 30s after they banned hemp. Hemp was going to be the fuel of the future. Hemp diesel was going to power the cars and everything. But the oil company magnates decided, oh no, we need something much more easy to control. We want to make it sophisticated so not everybody can do it. They'll become dependent on us. We'll have wars. It's going to be great for the military-industrial complex. So they created these systems to make us dependent on, and then we would have to buy into it. We would have to, use it. Okay, and that's what they've done. So they create dependency systems, and that's what we have to fight against, right?
That's exactly right.
The solution is to say, hey, what are the alternatives? Not to fight about causality, because the causality is complex. I mean, when you combine at least 10 different known toxins into one biosphere that's contained, who knows what the hell's the main irritant? They're all bred, folks. Let's just get rid of them all.
Exactly.
Well, this is the next thing. Okay, I've got Mother Earth money. I'll go over that one really quickly. Basically, Mother Earth money is a way. We've got cryptocurrency, we've got Bitcoin, we've got all sorts of other examples. We don't have to change politics to take back control. Everybody now lives in a money consciousness. Let's create a money that has a conscience. Let's create money that will renaturalize the planet. Support the good scientists who want to bring in the good energy systems.
Well, there's already stocks being sold. I actually, the polluters actually buy those stocks. I forget what they're called, but there is a whole system of stocks based on Mother Earth. In fact, they bought up all the jungles in South America and issued stocks based on preserving them. And it allows the polluters to pollute more because they're buying these stocks. It's a really insane kind of a thing, but it's sort of their way of doing it. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about something entirely different.
We're talking about our own currency. We're going to set up our own Mother Earth Bank. We're going to loan money to entrepreneurs. We're going to help them set up intentional communities. We're going to help them bring forward all the ideas that have been shelved for clean energy. We're going to help them buy, if they have to, buy back land. We're going to help the native people get back the land that we've stolen from them. We're going to do all the things we need, because the native philosophy is the philosophy for everyone. Basically, we have to live in harmony with Mother Earth. Now, once we do that, we can put any spiritual system on top of it, but we have to stop killing each other based upon the fact that we believe in different things. And that's a no-no. I mean, Lonnie, we haven't gotten out of kindergarten spiritually if we think we should kill people in the name of God. I mean, that's just so ridiculous. It's such a contradiction. It's such a hypocrisy. But we haven't gotten that far, Lonnie. So we've got to create, I call it the 3 rules. 1, love Mother Earth. Number 2, love Father Light. Now, Immanuel Kant is a guy nobody really knows, but I had the blessing of having an expert in Immanuel Kant when I was in my young 20s, early 20s, when I studied philosophy up here in Canada. This guy was an expert. Basically, what Immanuel Kant did is he looked at this thing we call reason. He wrote this incredibly difficult to understand book, The Critique of Pure Reason. Okay, and basically his conclusion was this. Okay,
I read that.
We talk all the time we want about the power of reason, but he said if we don't put ethics first, ethical reason, we're goners.
Exactly.
We have to make sure that the science and the reason and the math is for the goodness of the planet and humanity. What are we doing? The opposite. We're taking the greatest minds on Earth. We're paying them millions to create weapons, to create toxins, to create pharmaceuticals, to create all nuclear energy. I mean, all the toxins are connected to sophisticated science. But we got to stop all this stuff. So we have to make the bedrock of science higher ethics. Do no harm. 3 simple words. Do no harm. Is the science going to help us or hurt us? Is the science going to remediate the problems or make them worse? This is what we have to use. This is what I call Father Light. Father Light's connected to discernment too. Then the 3rd love is love for each other. The reason I became an activist 35 years ago in university was because I was disgusted when I found out that people are starving on this planet because we stole their land, we stole their seed, we stole their right to life on other continents. And we did the same thing here with the natives. This is a sin of sins, Lonnie, how anybody can live in this system and think it's good when we starve half the planet to live and kill ourselves with poisons. I mean, this is, Lonnie, I mean, it's beyond insane. It's absolutely beyond insane. And this is why I want people to see this movie, Astro City, because basically it says, in the movie, he's killing himself. But really, it's worse than that. We're killing our soul school. We're killing our planet.
True. We have a responsibility to our planet. We have a responsibility to the universe, the life that gave us life. We have a responsibility to not intentionally destroy this planet. I agree with. But this is why they work really hard and spend a lot of money to keep people separated from the pharmaceutical companies. Most people don't think about the slave labor involved in pharmaceuticals. And they keep people intentionally separated from the harm that it causes, so that people they live in these net results. They're like, yeah, well, I don't really care what it costs. But that's not true. If you took somebody who said, well, I don't care, I just want to have my lights on 24 hours a day, you take them and sit them in a little village in India where people have to dig through mounds of trash to reclaim wire out of broken machinery at 5, 10, 7 years old, and make them live there for a week, they would come back and be different.
Yeah, and that's where the media. But okay, let me get to Mother Earth money. Now, this is a very powerful thing that very few people are understanding yet. So I made a video about it, but I have to do more work on it. Basically, what it does is it's the ideal care for the lost souls of the planet. Because let's say they want to have 5 cell phones, okay, a year, different cell phones. Complete waste of money, in my opinion, time. But if we create a system that will allow people, some agency or some business to recycle phones so that it doesn't hurt the environment to have 5 cell phones a year, then that's a good thing. And that's what Mother Earth money will do. It will allow people who are wasteful to use our money, and we'll say, hey, this money is going to make sure everything gets recycled, which is actually a very good thing. And you can spend all you want. And actually, the more they spend on Mother Earth money, the more they're going to help. And secondly, Lonnie, is you don't have to change anything that's existing already. It's just going to go lockstep with the present system. So we do not. Oh, are you calling me back again?
Hi, UCY TV. We got cut off right at the very last minute. I guess we're not supposed to talk about the money. Anyways, sorry about that. Let me get Brian back on the line. Hold on. It's taken me a minute to get back online. So we have about 3 minutes left, and maybe we can just summarize this. Thanks for hanging in there with us. That was kind of a long stop. I hope he answers.
Hey.
Hey, Brian. Sorry about that. It took me a minute. I guess we're not going to talk about the money. We have about 2 minutes left. Why don't you tell us the last two things that you got going on, just real quick, so we can get the last five. We have love, discernment, Mother Earth money.
And the Gardner Political Party, which will basically bring all the relevant enviro issues onto one platform, and we're going to basically say, stop releasing the toxins. We're going to offer alternatives to every process. It's going to take us, I figure, 20 to 40 years to turn the ship around. But once we get this political party in place, we're going to decentralize the power, return it to the people, return it to the smallest beautiful framework, which is the way we're supposed to be living. It's not just good for the planet. It's actually good for our psyche to live in small communities, to love one another, to love our children, to be with our children instead of sending them away to these big school systems.
Do you have a platform written on your website for the Garden Political Power yet, or is this just still a draft idea?
I've got it all summarized in an article I wrote for the Liberty Beacon. Yeah.
Awesome. And then what's the last one? We have about a minute left.
Well, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So 4 things. That's
love,
4.
Discernment, returning to the smallest beautiful community as the model for our species, that way of living, the Money Earth money, and then the Gardner Political Party.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Brian. Thanks for joining us. And I'm sorry about that little snafu at the end. We'll have to have a whole show about the Mother Earth money, I guess. Make it a greater conversation. So
share my opinion with you. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can find Brian at makingadifference.tv. He has his own website. And you're on YouTube, aren't you? I think I see your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah. Everything is connected through YouTube. Some of the videos you can watch right on the site. Some of them want you to go to YouTube. I don't really care. The information's there. All the solutions, I believe, are on my site. I don't want to sound like egotistical here, but I really believe I studied this stuff for 35 years.
It's quite comprehensive. We've got about 15 minutes. I ask everybody to go to makingadifference.tv, take a look at his information, put your courage feet on, take action. Your actions really do matter. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.
This is JJ Eagle Against the Law. You're listening to UCY